record. Welcome everyone to the closing ceremonies of Healing Beauty. So it's a bit different today, and it's really nice to be able to do two of these so that we can interact more. That is really my intention for this ceremony. So what I'm going to be doing is we're going to open up and then I'm going to take you through a highlight of all the talks. And this is really good because one, it's going to help you kind of remember the key insights, and two, if you didn't catch all of them, perhaps this is going to spark interest in one that you want to dive deeper into. Although I know a lot of people have watched all of them, and that's really beautiful. So I want to start off by saying really thank you to everyone who took part in this symposium, whether they were watching or one of the speakers. It's become beyond my expectations about what happened and what we created together. So I just want to start off by saying thank you to all, and I'm going to invite us to arrive on the call. So if you close your eyes and just breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth at your own rhythm, and just really call and gather your energy to settle into your body. Just really breathing and calling your energy all the way down. You're just really calling your energy away from to-do lists, work, perhaps people that you're entangled with at the moment. And just calling all of your energy into your body and coming all the way down now. All the way down your back to the triangular bone at the base of your spine, your sacrum. And then breathing and allowing your awareness to almost circle around your pelvic bowl. Just really bringing your awareness and your attention down into your sacred power center, the portal of life. Just really coming into the circle that we've created together. Just arriving together in this beautiful circle, no matter where we are in the world. And just joining together now on this very special day. If you follow the Christian traditions, it's the day that Mary Magdalene discovered that Jesus had risen from the tomb. And indeed, this is a theme, just as Isis was put back together by Isis, Inanna in the first poem rose from the underworld. And so it's my greatest wish and intention that through this symposium, we just contributed towards that rising of the feminine. And indeed, if you look at some of the deep Gnostic texts around the crucifixion of Jesus, it was said that his deeper purpose, his deeper mission in that descent was to help recuperate the fragments of the Holy Sophia and rise her up to the Most High. So just now taking a deep breath into the physical edges of your body and opening your eyes. Welcome, everyone. So I really want to start off by opening up this circle and to hear from you. And I'm inviting you to share what were some of the key awarenesses, or I guess takeaways, that you feel that you've gained from this symposium. So I'm just going to take a moment to hold space for that. You can put that in the chat box, and I'm also going to have a look on Facebook as well. So let me know in the comments what have been the key awarenesses, takeaways that you have gained from the symposium. What for you has been a new way of looking at the world, something that perhaps touched you deeply, moved you deeply? I would love to hear from you. Just taking this moment to reflect. Yeah. So Athena here has said, Dr. D. Martini said, we have everything we need inside of ourselves. Yes, that was such a beautiful insight. And actually, I would invite everyone to go and watch his talk again, because he's speaking on different realms. So that's a very beautiful insight to have really incorporated into your psyche, into your being. Maybe it wasn't a speaker, maybe it was a general of how you felt, what moved you. Perhaps if nothing is coming to mind now, I'm going to invite you to reflect on that, because sometimes we go to these things, can be conferences, can be trainings, and then we kind of go away and carry on with our life. But it's when we take time to reflect that we can start to take that embodiment of those things that really touched us. So Effie has said, to face all my shadow parts with love, compassion, and stop shutting them down, and to embrace my whole being with love and acceptance, which is really, really beautiful. Yes, there's nothing, I think that's one of the takeaways, hasn't it? Has been that there's nothing broken, there's nothing missing, like Dr. D. Martini. And actually, the journey is to come into complete love and acceptance of all we are. And actually, what that is reminding me of is the shadow parts, you know, the things that perhaps we've avoided, but also the magnificence of what we are when we come into realizing that we have everything that we need inside of us and that nothing is missing. It's not just the shadow parts, the parts we've been avoiding to take, but also the golden shadow, the pieces of us that have this power, that have this ability to connect, that have this, you know, one of John's things said, until you make everything outside of you part of you, that's your mission. And I've done a lot of deep studies with John, and he's taking that to every level of existence. So until you make the sun you, until you make the solar system you, until you make the universe you. And so when we're talking about shadow, we also can really be talking about those golden shadow parts, about our actual magnificence. We've got some comments here. Rachel, honestly, this symposium has opened me up to the next level of healing. That's beautiful. Alexandra, I love and appreciated the energy you held throughout. Thank you. I loved your talk. Laura, I've enjoyed these lives so much. It's opened me up to a new level of healing and understanding. So beautiful. Okay, so just taking that on board, I want to just take you through some of the highlights of the talks now. And as I said, if some of them you haven't watched, perhaps these will inspire you to watch them. And I've made a decision actually, and you know, normally with symposiums or with summits or events, they're kind of on for a certain period, and then you have a week to catch up, or maybe even a few days. But I felt that the power of this work is so powerful that I'm not going to take them down. I'm not going to take them down. It just feels wrong and more like a marketing strategy rather than what the deep intention and love was for this symposium. So they are going to stay up. They're going to stay up in the Facebook group and also on YouTube. So please keep diving into them as you feel, because I feel like there's different layers of insights there available. Okay, so first off, we had Anaya Sophia, who talked to us about sacred body wisdom. And this was a really special, they were all special. What I took from this was really how to navigate through these challenging times. You know, we really brought this concept in of, you know, there's war going on right now in the world through Ukraine and Russia. We've been through a pandemic, and actually those challenging times can actually re-trigger in us our own trauma. I've read actually in the news recently that there's a lot of reports of sexual violence being used in Ukraine, and for me this is a real attack on the womb field. This, you know, women coming into their womb wisdom, coming into their womb awakening. And so when I read that, you know, I feel that we feel that on such a deep level. So what Anaya's wisdom was bringing was to really connect with the body and really feel the body and invite the body into, well, invite yourself into the different body parts so that you can begin to feel and hear and listen to your body, and then help your body transmute it, because there is this magical energy within the body. You know, they say the power that created the body has the power to heal the body. So when you're listening to the body and you're able to just be with those different body parts that are calling out for your awareness and your attention. And I always say this, pain is a call for help. You know, women in my work, women that have painful periods, that for me, that's just the womb wanting to speak to you, you know, and we've lost that connection to listening to our womb. So yeah, it's really about listening to our bodies and listening to the parts that want to express themselves, and in that creates a very magical transformation. So that was Anaya Sophia's talk. We then heard from Alexandra Cousins. She talked to us about the patriarchal matrix within the cellular matrix, and so many people love this talk. And actually, I'm going to invite myself to go and listen to it again. You know, she was really talking about the dis-ease. So the symptoms that our body creates, that a lot of it is coming from our ancestral lines. And she really went into detail of what some of the suffering of the feminine has been from patriarchy, how that shows up in the body. And the thing that really stuck out for me was around digestive issues, so constipation, literally holding on to issues, and then also around the liver. And I didn't share in the talk, but my family line, my feminine line, have that very issue. In fact, my grandmother died of liver cancer, and she wasn't drinking or smoking. So it just, her work is so powerful. And we have some magic coming up, Alexandra and I, so keep your eye out for that. So she really talked about how when you actually do, let's call it a physical detox, although we know it isn't, you're really helping to cleanse and heal your body and your emotions. And there's a very big emotional cleanse, and almost what I'm feeling is a rebalancing back into the feminine. So yeah, a big thank you to Alexandra, and I know she's watching on Facebook as well. So an invitation there to, if you want to hear more about that, to go and watch her video, because it was really good. And there is a theme about the body, and I didn't create it on purpose like this, but our next speaker was Maya Luna, and she come to talk to us about holy groundlessness, the deep spiritual feminine path. And this was really about helping us realize that there is nothing wrong with us, there is nothing broken. And actually the feminine is about coming into and being present with the beauty in all life, almost seeing that when we stop trying to fix things, when we stop trying to actually what I'm feeling is being in our masculine energy, this organizing, fixing, structuring, which has been such the matrix that we've lived in for so long, it's become the norm, that when we're able to sink down into the sacredness of each moment, into the sacredness of our bodies, we're able to access this, a portal into realizing and feeling the beauty of life, the sacredness of life. And she also spoke about how grief actually is a portal to the deep feminine. And I really feel this because, you know, life is about death. That is the one certain thing we know we're going to experience. And it's the one thing us humans have been taught to avoid. We don't know how to process death and dying. And this can be of all things, of businesses, relationships, people, animals, you know. And so connecting to this grief, what I feel is it really opens up our heart to a deeper communion with life, a deeper appreciation of life, and actually a deeper communion between each other. So that was a really beautiful talk. We then heard from Diana Zugler. She come and spoke to us. It was a completely different shift then into business. So Diana works mainly in the Latin American market and the Spanish market. She's from Colombia, and she helps women create online successful businesses. And so she, in her talk, really talked to us about how you can bring the divine feminine into your business. And there she was talking about being okay with how you are and how you feel, and not putting on a face and a mask because it's business. She also shared with us some 3 key principles to build an online successful business, and also what to do if it isn't working. So that was a really beautiful, different viewpoint, because so many of us, you know, in this symposium do have our own businesses. So that was a really beautiful talk on how to build this online successful business. We then heard from Akara Sophia. And Akara talked to us about sexual healing and the priestess path. And this was really beautiful because she was talking about the wounds, specifically the wounds that some priestesses hold. And they were all mainly around the body. And she really helped bring forth how the wounded healer is actually an agent for the Divine Mother, meaning that actually when we can be vulnerable and real with our own woundedness, you know, when we're not putting masks over it and pretending that we're perfect, which is this old masculine model, this old masculine way of being, we're able to actually bring in this deep connection and healing with our clients, because when we, it's almost like we teach what we need to work on or heal ourselves. And so by being really raw and honest with what our wounds are that we hold, we're able to create this deep connection and loving bond with those that we are working with, those that we are teaching, and those that we are sharing. And I felt that this was a really big relief, because there's such, especially in the kind of coaching, helping, healing field, there's this real kind of worry that we have to pretend our life is perfect, and feels like there's a lot of fakeness in the world about that, and I feel that the veil is dropping and we're unable to really connect to people when we're feeling this inauthenticity. So there's a real call there. I guess to just be honest with yourself and honest with your audience about how you are doing and what is really going on in your life. We then moved over to Sarah Negus, and she spoke to us about success consciousness, the spiritual nature of success. And this was really beautiful. I really feel like she built upon and brought more energy to what Maya was talking about, which was success consciousness is about, actually true success is about being in love and deep acceptance for every part of you, the wholeness part of you, instead of the parts that you like, that you think are successful, and then avoiding and ignoring the parts that you don't like. So this success consciousness she brought in was really about coming into wholeness and loving the entirety of your life. And then she talked about how desire, actually, and connecting with your desire is the key to success, because it focuses on not what external things are that are successful. So, you know, the traditional model might be, yeah, a mansion, $1 million, you know, whatever those things are, but really connecting to what your deep desires are and working through your desire to create a successful life that is defined by you, not from society or peer groups. We then heard from Lenka Lutonska. She spoke to us about creating limitless income and impact with the power of your energy. And she spoke to us about 3 different levels of consciousness of energy that we can work from. And the highest being as me consciousness. So this consciousness that we are not separated from our desires, from our business, from our clients, and also that when we are in this energy of the great I am within our business, then we're able to create more impact and more connection with our clients. And it was very empowering as well, because it's almost like when you realize there's no separatedness, you can stop projecting, particularly on your clients and on your business, and you can start really owning what are those traits are that you're seeing in your business and start to work on them. So that was a really, really empowering talk. We then heard from Dr. John D. Martini, and he talked to us about the God and Goddess within. And this was really interesting talk. He was the only man on the symposium, and that wasn't by design. I did invite other men, but I think actually the people in our symposium, the speakers, were the perfect mix. So he really talked to us about the God and Goddess in an astronomical view, and how that astronomical optics of light view has been personified through religion, and how this dishonoring of the feminine in the patriarchal is actually just a perception, it's not reality, and showing us where the goddess has been all along. And I remember specifically it was around fertility. You know, women have been working on fertility, which is, you know, keeping the whole population growing and the world growing. And so he really started to guide us on how to access this divine nature, this true love being loving both the good and the bad, and coming out of the labeling of those perceptions and coming into that true divine nature that we have within, which is loving all that is and seeing that there is nothing missing. That is such an empowering, beautiful way to live. So I invite people to go and have a look at that talk again. It was then me. I talked about the restoration of the divine feminine and stepping into your feminine power. So really what I talked a lot about was the throne space of the divine feminine within the body, which is our sacred womb space. For men, it's the hara, and how that this is our sacred power center, the portal of life, where we create from, actually, because we are made, you know, just as the cosmos has a creation, we are in the same way of creating, and how we've been very disconnected from this sacred power center for a few thousand years. And I went through what really disconnects you from this center and how you can go about healing and connecting with this center again, so that you can actually really embody this divine feminine that is so needed in the world. I also talked about the wounded feminine, so kind of like the diva feminine empowerment that is dressed up as divine, but in fact they are still acting from wounded feminine energies, which actually are not helping the rising of the divine feminine at the moment. And then finally, yesterday, we heard from Diana Bewley, and she talked about becoming ready for sacred union. So she really defined what sacred relationship is, or conscious relationship, as opposed to these entanglements, this kind of give and take negotiation that we have as a model of relationship right now. And then she shared her journey of how she became ready for sacred union. So the deep healing that she did on her trauma from sexual abuse, and how she was then preparing to be ready to invite in that sacred union, and how it happened for her extremely quickly. She also shared some great insights on how to overcome some of those wounds that we have when we want sacred union, but we're not seeing it as possible. So overcoming things such as loneliness, such as feeling that the other partner isn't as conscious as perhaps you would like, or that you feel you are. So yes, this was the symposium. As I said, I invite you to have a look in the group or on YouTube. And yes, I want to now open up again for you and really ask you, what do you feel are your next steps? So my first question at the beginning was like, what were the key insights? And now I guess I'm asking you, what are your next steps for taking what you've enjoyed most, what you've learned perhaps, or what you've gained, and what are your next steps in terms of moving forwards? So you can just let me know in the chat box. I'm going to have a quick drink of water. Yeah, so just reflecting on what are your next steps. I'm having a look on the Facebook comments as well. So just inviting you to reflect on, where do you go from here? I'm just having a look. Got something here. Rachel saying, I'll be finding out more about the speakers, what they're offering, already doing some of the things on Sarah's website. Beautiful. And I've also been trying out Sacred Body Wisdom, and really found Alexandra's talk so helpful. Yeah, and Alexandra loved Maya Luna's talk, so powerful. So yeah, what do you feel are your kind of next steps? Where are you wanting to go from here? I know a lot of you have already been, a lot of you have messaged me personally, by the way, and I want to just acknowledge that, because I have responded to everyone. And that's been so beautiful to receive your messages. I know some of you have got books, you've booked calls. So Alexandra, I'm so ready to go deeper into the feminine and exploring the joys of totally letting go of living from my masculine. Laura, I feel called to bring some of this work to my clients and explore this further myself. Symposium has been a springboard. Beautiful. So lovely to read all of your comments. So yeah, I just really want to honor, as I said, everyone that's taken part in the calls, all of your comments, all of your messages, and I'm really feeling some of the messages that I've received now. And my deep intention is that this energy that we've created continues to spread around the world and continues to help the rise of the divine feminine. I really thank you for being here. It's been amazing to feel your energy. And I really value all the time that everyone spent with us, because I realize we're talking about 10 hours here. So that is a really long time. And for me, time is more precious than money or anything, because eventually we will die. So it's the one thing that we have a very limited time of. So I really do honor everyone who has spent time with us. And I want to also make an offer for those of you who are wondering about next steps, then you can listen on. But I want to say, if you feel 100% confident that you continue alone, then you don't need to listen on to this. I just want to make an offer for those that want to step deeper into their feminine, because a key theme throughout this symposium has been embodiment, actually, and this kind of invitation to fully step into your feminine power. And a lot of you have said a key way to do that is to come into love and into wholeness with all the parts that you are. So perhaps the parts of you that haven't felt safe in your feminine through sexual trauma, through grief in the womb space, through unloving sexual experiences. Perhaps part of you that haven't felt honored in your feminine, in the workplace, in your business. You don't know how to honor the feminine in your relationships even, you know, what does that mean? Perhaps you haven't felt at home in your feminine, and it's felt safer to be in the thinking, doing world. Like we've lost that how to feel grounded in ourselves and in our feminine. And perhaps you feel a real loss of the sisterhood, actually, you know. And for me, the loss of the sisterhood is real wounded feminine, where we feel that we have to compete for external approval, resources to make ourselves feel full. Perhaps you haven't felt enough, and you never feel like you're enough, and no matter what you do or achieve, it hasn't felt enough. And for me, this is the classic wounded feminine again. You know, we need women in power, but we need women in their divine feminine, meaning that they are in acceptance of their wholeness, of their love, and they're in their womanhood. So I have this invitation for those that want to go further, and that is to come and work in circle with me to awaken your womb. Because if you heard my talk, your womb is the throne place. It's the anchor place, the physical embodiment of where the divine feminine resides. And when you are able to fully clear this space and connect to this space, you step into a much deeper embodiment of your feminine. A home is like the greatest homecoming you will have ever receive, and it steps into that inner knowingness and that authentic voice that comes out. So I have two options depending on what you're looking for, and I want to share with you what the process is. So it's essentially an 8-week initiation. And you can either do that in self-study, or you can come in an intimate circle with me. And in the circle, I'm only going to be having about 8 women, because I want to meet you all and honor you all personally. So this initiation process is going to be first about connecting to our womb, because we've had this deep disconnection for so long. And she is the part of us that has the direct link, the direct emanation to the goddess without any external interference. So when you start to connect to this consciousness, you start to get a very clear, deep inner knowing of who you are, a deep acceptance of all that you are, and a deep love for yourself and for life. Once that connection is done, we then move on to the next stage, which is clearing, quite frankly, our lifetime of trauma. And that can be trauma that we've had around our sacred sexual area, so such as unloving sexual experiences, perhaps abusive relationships, perhaps there have been terminations or miscarriages or child loss or infertility, all of these things that actually stop us from fully connecting to this space. We can't connect and ground in our body if we don't know how to process the trauma within it. And so that second initiation is really about starting to release some of the toxicity and the distortions so that we can connect more deeply to ourselves. The next initiation is then about clearing ancestral trauma. So Alexandra talked about this, you know, we hold within our tissues, within our DNA, what our ancestors have experienced. And we are seeing a few thousand years of patriarchy, by the way, which both men and women have suffered from, because men have experienced slavery, serfdom, going into war, which we're seeing right now, perhaps then don't want to be in war, you know, loss of their families, loss of their friends. And then women, we've experienced, well, particularly through war, but also through patriarchy, we've been legally owned by men for a very long time. It's only until very recently that we were not. We've had sexual violence being used as a tool of war. We've not had our voice. We've been silenced. We've been cut out. And the masculine has been put as the norm. And the feminine perception of the world, the intuition, the feeling, have been cast out as being crazy, silly, too emotional. So there's a real clearing that needs to happen so that we can step into all that we are and love all that we are. The next initiation then is about clearing out the distorted masculine. Because of the energetics of the feminine is the void, the receiving, and the masculine is the projecting. Often unknowingly, when we are in sexual relationships with men, they are projecting into us their unprocessed wounds, their trauma, and their emotions that they are not able to process. And this can even happen in loving relationships. So when we clear this, we're able to come into a more deep love relationship with our partner that we're with, or perhaps call in that divine masculine that we're really wanting to call in. And then we have to go into the next initiation, which is clearing out wounded feminine, that part of us that feels so emptied and shattered by life that she's going outside of ourselves to fill herself up with accolades, wealth, maybe it's relationships, shopping, you know, all this external gratification. So what this enables you to do is really start to feel your inner fullness, your inner radiance, and it allows you then to start to harness this inner radiance, this inner fullness, and connect to this, so that you realize actually that there's nothing missing, there's nothing outside of you that can fill yourself up. And that is, I tell you, that is I spent about 6 months doing that myself, and that is such a gift to yourself, because you finally stop going outside of yourself to feel loved, to feel full, and you're able to be that full person, that whole person that you really are. The next initiation then is going into the walls of the temple around this womb temple. So the womb is the Holy of Holies, the place where you connect with this divine goddess aspect of self. But the walls around this womb, the pillars, let's say, have been breached. Woman's role a lot of the time is being the giver, the nurturer. But sometimes what we're doing is we're giving away so much of our energy. There's no energy left for us, for our creative projects, for what we want to birth into the world, or even for ourselves. And so what this process does is really bring energetic boundaries, loving energetic boundaries around the womb space, so that you can start to use this powerful transmutational energy that births life to birth your projects and what you really want to contribute to the world. And that's why this work is really for women who want to help lead the world, who want to help the world evolve, because you can't do that unless you have your energy online for you and what you want to bring out into the world. And then finally, there's a kind of deep dive into this inner wise woman, this very sacred space within. And this particular practice was only shared with high initiates of mystery schools before. It took a long time to do this, but I'm able now through this work to take women into this space so they can start to commune with the inner goddess within. And this is your inner guidance, your intuition on superpowers. It's so beautiful to be able to have this connection and start to bring things out in this divine feminine blueprint. So that's the process. We have two options. One is a self-study, so you'll get instant access to that, but I'm also going to be giving away 2 free live circles. So not only do you get the self-study, but you're going to meet with me in circle 2 times, one at the beginning and one at the end, to help you implement that. And that is $580 US. And then if you want to be in a more intimate circle, if you want to be privately mentored, then you can join an 8-week circle. We're going to be starting in May, and we come together face to face on Zoom, where we actually see each other's faces. And this is a place where you are really held through that deep connection to this divine feminine within. And because I've done this, I'm going to be giving away another beautiful course I have called Activate Your Sexual Power. So this is about connecting to your sexual energy, releasing shame about your sexual energy, releasing shame about your body and about being a woman. And you'll get that for free if you join the 8-week circle. So the 8-week circle is $1,888 US. So just below $2,000 US. So if those are calling you, reach out to me. I'll put the link below. It's called Awaken Your Womb, and you have those 2 options. So yeah, Rachel's asked, is it online? Yeah, so they're both online. With the 8-week circle, we'll meet in a Zoom meeting where we actually see each other's faces. And I will put the link so you can have a look. Okay. So I just want to see if there's any questions about anything at all, any other comments. I know some people have been commenting, so I'm going to have a look. Effie said, I want to revisit all the videos again and take it all in. Thanks for all the effort in putting this together. Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Rachel said, thanks, Kelly. Does the 8-week circle have a fixed time? That's a really good question. I'm going to do 2. I already have some women in the circle from the US that are going to be starting in May. So I'm going to do one for the US time zone. So if you're in Europe, that's going to be European afternoon and the US morning lunchtime. And then I am going to be doing one European morning, which is for Australasia, their afternoon. So there's going to be 2 options there, because I only want to have maximum 8 women in the group, so we can be really met and honored. And there's a very special magic and energy when women come together and do this. You know, womb wisdom used to be done in the tents together. Women were bleeding in the tents together. They were helping each other. And so when you do this in circle, it's really beautiful. Okay, I'm just seeing any other comments. So I'm going to be closing this down now, closing down the symposium, giving thanks to everyone that's taken part, all of the speakers, all of you who have been watching. Thank you so, so much. And I'll put the links below to Awaken Womb. Just basically reach out to me. That's the best way, and we can have a chat. And thank you so much. Wishing you a beautiful day, evening, wherever you are. Bye-bye.